Look, I think operations are doing very well. We announced our half-year result to December, where the company recorded 30% growth in revenue to $84 million, a 32% growth in EBITDA to about $17 million. This has got to be one of the best half year in the history of the company. So the operations are starting to deliver, and the company is on a solid footing. First of all, shareholders have the right to express themselves, and there is a group of shareholders that believes that they can intervene in the dispute between CIMCG, which is the largest shareholder in Mwana, and the company. And their belief is that by appointing a new board, perhaps the petition and the lawsuit will be resolved. I think it all stemmed from the AGM we had last year, where there was a public display of disagreement between different parts of the board, and I suppose people who didn't perhaps quite understand what the nature of the disagreement was felt that they could step in and try to resolve it. Most notable is the presence of two former directors, Mr. Bering and the former finance director. And we understand that it also has the support of our former chairman, Mark Wesley Wood. I think it's important to note that both Oliver Bering and Mark Wesley Wood at their time were unanimously removed by the board. You know, it's actually quite interesting that they would all come back and support the petition. You know, Donald McAllister left the company following our decision to downsize the corporate office and keep the operation and the management closer to the mine. So, you know, this was part of our cost-saving drive, so I find it very interesting that they would be coming and being part of the requisition. Since their departure, our corporate costs have almost halved. The company has actually done very well. In the past 2 years, Mwana has consistently outperformed companies that are in the same domain and are operating in a similar environment. You know, the company has actually been doing much better than its peer on AIM and some of the indexes. The board view is that the resolution should be rejected. The Chinese were not able to express an opinion because, as you know, there is a litigation taking place, so it was very difficult for them to express a view in public, and certainly not whilst we are busy finding an amicable resolution to the dispute. Well, except for the Chinese, as I said, who, because of the litigation, cannot express their view. But I think we also say in the circular that we believe that this requisition is actually interfering with the discussion we are having with the Chinese. We have been, since December, looking at various, because Stuart Morris has announced almost 18 months ago that he wanted to retire. And, we have been looking at various candidates to replace him. And the requisition is interfering with all those discussions. It's an unnecessary distraction. Look, I think that there are two very distinct things. There is the litigation, or the petition if you want, and then on the other hand you have the requisition by the shareholders group. The petition is a dispute between the larger shareholder and the company on the interpretation of the relationship agreement between CIMGC and the company. When CIMGC invested into Mwana, it entered into a relationship agreement which defines very clearly how CIMGC has to behave vis-à-vis the independence of the board, the composition of the board. And at the AGM there was an incident that led to the CIMGC vote not being counted or being disenfranchised. And the board at the time believes that it had acted according to the relationship agreement, and CIMGC doesn't agree. That's really the heart of the litigation. But the board has continued to function despite the litigation. I think we've met 5 times since the litigation started, and 3 of those meetings Mr. Ning was present. We took some very important decisions, like approving the bond and approving some other investment in the operation. So, the board has been dispensing its duty in a very normal manner. Now the requisition, you will see that the requisition seeks to remove all the independent director, because I presume they assume that CIMGC wants the current board to leave. I don't know that this is necessarily correct. So, you just have to wait and see what will happen. Our operations are based primarily in Zimbabwe. All of our projects, certainly our most important projects, are based in Zimbabwe. The biggest financial challenges, the biggest financial opportunities are in Zimbabwe. So we believe that a strong track record and expertise in the Zimbabwean business environment is probably one of the most important things we need. And, this current board played a very critical role in assisting me and the management team in securing all the government approval to get the bond in place. Secondly, all of our challenges are around technical issues, like we have mines to develop in the DRC, we have mines to restart in South Africa, and we need a board that is made up of people who have hands-on technical expertise, people who have built things. And in that regard, I think that the existing board is much better balanced and reflect more strongly the requirement of the company. First and foremost, we have to restore stability and harmony in our board. We announced a week ago a stay in the litigation. Discussions are taking place in earnest, and I'm confident that we will resolve the legal issues with Mr. Ning shortly. As I mentioned, we have a succession plan in place, and we are hoping to execute the succession plan. It's very important that we maintain continuity, that we preserve the corporate memory which exists in the board, and removing all the director will destroy that. Not to mention that we are in the middle of our audit process, and we are expecting to release our full year audited account in the beginning of July. So, the requisition is a unnecessary distraction.